Shalom, Yashrala. This is your brother Dawud from GMS Tampa Bay 07, coming at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, which is the true names of the Heavenly Father, who you ignorantly call God and Jesus Christ. Okay, I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that taught me this here truth, and that rule well, and that's enduring and enduring in faith, you know. And I also want to say much love to you brothers that's pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth, you know, and also staying strong and diligent, you know. Anyway, I want to get into this here lesson, you know, going into some of the things that was going on in, you know, within the last week, you know. But nevertheless, you know, well, actually it's like only Monday, but, you know, my days are all crammed together from fucking work all the time. But nevertheless, I believe this happened on Friday, you know, and it's still dragging on along. You know, it's still lingering on along, you know. Actually, before that, you know, I just thought about this as well, you know. Before that, you had basically the government shut down, more or less to say, you know, over, you know, certain deals here and there. They wouldn't release certain funds, you know. But nevertheless, you know, and then a lot of the parts of the government, they didn't shut down, more or less. But, you know, those people still had to go to work, and they just wasn't getting paid, you know. And so you can imagine all the governmental employees going to work and not getting paid. You know, now all these people, you know, especially if they live in paycheck to paycheck or damn near close to it, you know, they still got families to feed. Just because the government shut down don't mean they, you know, their bills shut down, their kids' mouths, you know, and stomachs shut down and things like that. You know, they still got to pay bills. So, you know, for, you know, the most part, you know, they kind of took a hit there, you know. But also you had like on, I believe it was Friday, the stock market lost a record-breaking, I believe it was 666 points, you know. The Most High is the Most High. Hey, the Most High is very creative, you know. And the Most High is the Most High. He's the highest, you know, the highest intelligent, highest in class and swag and all that kind of stuff, you know. You know, he told us about the number of the man, you know, the 666, right? And also the Tao, and you know, Esau and his system, you know. You see in the end of it all. Hey, look, that's that deadly number coming up. So we already know some of these things is coming to pass, you know. This economic collapse that he's pushing for, so he can get this digital currency, you know, which is going to lead into the market of beast system, you know. But you know, going into the stock market crash, not crash, but the drop in the stock market and stuff like that, you know, these are things that's, you know, it shouldn't alarm you that these things are happening, you know. I give the analogy of if you ever heard the analogy of boiling a frog, you know, you know, for the analogy purposes, if you're trying to boil a frog, you know, you throw a frog into a pot of boiling water, he's going to jump out, you know. But if you was to put a frog inside of a room temperature pot, you know, and you put him on a stove and you slowly turn up the heat, the frog's going to keep adjusting his body temperature to adapt to the water. Before you know it, the frog is dead and he's boiled alive, you know, because he didn't realize that the pot was getting hotter. He just kept adjusting to the things around him, you know. And so the same way what was going on here, you know, Esau is not going to just press everything on us all at one time because there's going to be a big backlash. So what he does is, you know, like boiling a frog. He's been boiling us as the frog for the longest time with all these things, you know. It's like the scripture says, it's going to come as birth pains, you know. When a woman is going into labor, the very first birth pain she has is, you know, you know, they're far apart, you know. And it's not to say it's not that bad or whatever, but it's not as bad as when the baby's right about to come, you know. And then everything is hitting you back to back to back to back to back to back, you know. But nevertheless, this is what's going on here with us. You know, they basically boiling us as a frog, you know, with certain things, you know, like, for instance, the security around here, you know, 9/11, you know, that was one little thing. Then, you know, we need a little bit of cameras here and there. You know, we got to check you at the airport. Now we need more security cameras. Now we need facial recognition on everything. Now we need microphones everywhere around, you know. Before you know it, you in that pot boiling water because you've been just adjusting yourself to it, you know. Oh, yeah, there's terrorists on airplanes, so, yeah, we need airport security. Oh, yeah, they done got beyond that, you know, we need more cameras. Okay, they got beyond that, and they driving cars and trucks and stuff. Maybe we don't need to drive, you know. So you slowly get into this here system that Esau's trying to put you into, you know. And the same with this here economic collapse, you know. You think back to 2008. Think back before that, 2001, you know. Before 2001, everything was good. That was a time of so-called, you know, if you, I guess, like an Edomite here, you know, you prosperous, everything is kind of on an ups for you, right, at that point in time, you know. 2001 happened. This is when these elites and stuff started liquidating everything. They started robbing the bank, more or less to say, started taking things at a massive way, you know. And So, like, if you go back to September 10th, 2001, you know, Donald Rumsfeld was making a speech about, I think it was $9 billion or $9 trillion or something like that missing, you know, and the very next day, September 11th happened, you know. So what happened to that money that was missing, you know? Oh, well, it got swept under the rug, you know. They just pretty much put money in their pocket. But nevertheless, you know, fast forward to 2008, you know, same thing. They increased the money flow, made money good and cheap for you to get, you know, because they was about to start liquidating again. So they released a whole bunch of money, then they started pulling it back. This is where you had the housing market crash and everything like that. So now, you know, they want to take everything from you. They gave you everything first and foremost, more than you could handle, and then they started raising the interest rates on these things, you know. Now, you know, you have less homeowners and more people with fucked up credit, unlikely to be able to buy a house now, you know. Now they have to go and rent, you know, and all these things is going into famine, more and more like famine, you know, because famine isn't necessarily just talking about a shortage of food, you know. It's more or less a shortage of resources to survive off of, you know. On your regular, you know, you need this, you need that, you know. Like, for instance, a famine could be gasoline, you know. You can't get gasoline move around, you know, then you can't move trucks around. Trucks is bringing the food to the grocery stores and stuff like that, you know. Not only that, they also bring in gas to the gas station so you can get into your car so you can make it to work to get a paycheck in order to get this here stuff. So, you know, any of these things failing could cause a famine, you know. And these are the things that we read about, you know, in the scriptures around this here time happening, you know. But just to finish up on the point of, you know, this stock market deal, you know, and, you know, just looking into this, you know, I'm starting to see some connections, you know. This is just me thinking as a man because, you know, I have been looking into certain things like BitConnect and Bitcoin. And right before this here deal happened, BitConnect pretty much went under or whatever because they found or figured it was some kind of scam or something like that, you know. Don't quote me on all that. But anyway, nevertheless, that currency was devalued, you know, and that was a part of Bitcoin. So with all those people losing out on that and people being afraid, they started pulling their money out of Bitcoin, you know, which dropped the market price for that. And on a surface level, you would think those are all bad things, you know. But nevertheless, right after that, a couple of days later, that's when you see the stock market get hit, you know. And those are two completely different systems. Now, if you was one of those type of people trying to come up on those systems, you know, you don't think like how everybody else thinks, you know. There's different types of people, you know. So when you trying to make money into, like, let's say the stock market, you know, you're not like a regular person who wants to look at a stock that's doing good and that's expensive and stuff like that because you think, oh, it's higher value. Nah. When you really know what's going on, you go get a stock that's either starting to perform badly or it's at a low price because you know eventually it's going to rebound back up. So you're buying it while the value is low and expecting for it to go back up. So the same with, you know, hey, they made a run on Bitcoin, so now they devalued Bitcoin. So now these people who realizing it's a good investment, now we can go double up, you know. Let's say hypothetically Bitcoin was worth $100 for one Bitcoin, you know. And hypothetically, again, let's say that's expensive because we know that Bitcoin was way more than that. But, you know, hypothetically, let's say Bitcoin was $100 and that was super expensive. Then they devalued this by so-called causing a run on the Bitcoin market or whatever. Now Bitcoin had dropped down to $10. So for every one Bitcoin that you have for $100, you can go buy you 10 of them now, you know. So this is the time to go jump into it when it's at a bad system, you know. But looking at the bigger picture, what are these people doing? They're preparing themselves again. They're liquidating, moving their currency around. They know that this fiat currency is about to go, so now they're trying to move into the new systems. So with the stock market deal, you know, the things that cause things like that is those elites and stuff starting to pull all their money, moving their money out of those types of things, you know. Just like how oil became cheaper not too long ago because the Rothschilds, or I believe it was either the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers, sold all their stock in oil. Well, if they sold their stock in oil, it's no longer a good commodity because they're the ones eating off of everything. So you look at it as, oh, oil is real cheap right now, yeah, because they don't want it no more. You know, they move into the next deal. You know, they started transitioning all their things, you know. So you have to take heed to these things, you know. But nevertheless, you know, we're going to line this here up with the scriptures because, again, the scriptures tell us that these are the things that's going to be coming and be around these here times that, you know, that we're living in right now, you know. And these are the things that we should be looking at, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and start off in right here where I'm at, Matthew chapter 24, and go to verse 6. It says, I'm going to start at verse 3. It says, Matthew 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the signs of thy coming, and the end of the world? So, and we know that the planet is going to abide forever, but the end of Esau's rulership, you know, this world that we living in under, this society, this type of things we living under, when is the end of that going to come? And when is the return, when is your return coming? So we could put that together. Yahweh Shah is returning at the end of the world, or the end of Esau's rulership, you know? Simple. And verse 4, and Yahweh Shah answered and said unto them, take heed, no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, or Christ, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, which we turn the news on. You see that all day. And also, when we're speaking of these wars and rumors of wars, we're not just talking about with tanks and ships and stuff like that. You know, you also have currency wars. You see what's going on with the petrodollar and the petro-yuan. You know, if you know anything about finances and stuff like that, which what actually makes America the greatest nation on the planet Earth, you know, besides that sword that he's got, you know, two things. You know, he's got that sword in his deceitful ass tongue, you know. But nevertheless, you know, he's got this petrodollar, you know, which ensures him to be the number one nation on top of everything. If you want to move and transport or deal with oil, you need the American dollar, you know, which is giving value to his money. But nevertheless, you see this petro-yuan coming out, you know, and then people trying to get away from this central banking system, the IMF, and they're trying to go to other things like the BRIC system, you know. They're trying to change their pipelines from the so-called Western, how do you say, the Western civilization, or, you know, Esau on his side, you know, his control to more or less like Russia, so Russia can control it and, you know, help out the other people, you know, more or less the people that's not on the Allied, more or less to say, for lack of a better term, the Allied side, or NATO side, more or less to say, you know. So, you know, these are also famines, you know. You have currency wars going on, you know, where the American dollar is about to be devalued, you know. You have unemployment skyrocketing up, you know, less and less jobs over here, people losing, middle class losing out, things like that. These are also considered wars, you know, when apartments are raising the rent from here to there, here to there. These are all currency wars, you know, on a smaller scale, you know. This year your rent is like $750 a month. Next year it's $850 a month. You know, now you at war trying to keep up with your cost of living and trying to offset that with your job that you got, you know. Now you got to keep getting more and more jobs. So it's a constant battle just to keep up, stay afloat, you know. Verse 6 again, you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So, going into where they're talking about, you know, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, you know, and we go into that all the time about, you know, the different nations, you know, being race wars more or less to go on. You know, the nation of Esau is warring with the nation of Israel, you know, the real Israelites, you know, and then also kingdom against kingdom, you know. You got like, okay, you got two Edomites fighting each other, you know, you got Russia and America, you know, you got two different kingdoms at each other's throat, you know. But it says also, and there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. So these famines, again, like I'm saying, it's not necessarily just, oh, the crops won't grow, you know. Because, you know, they got GMOs and stuff like that. But it also, look, GMOs is another thing of famine. When was the last time you tasted real food? You know? Just think about that. You eating this here food, you know, don't get like that frog that's being boiled. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, you should be tasting that shit now, and that you realize none of the food you eating is actual real food, you know? And I know with the short amount of time I've been on this here planet and in this here lifetime, I can remember with, you know, eating some real food in my life, and now I can taste the difference in it. Like, this ain't real food at all, you know? But nevertheless, you know, these are all types of wars dealing with famine, you know. You're dealing with people's livelihoods and people trying to more or less to be, not progressive, but just to stay afloat, you know, just somebody in their regular livelihood. We're not talking about nobody getting rich or somebody losing big in the stock market, but, you know, more or less people in their regular lifestyles, you know, and their regular livelihoods and things like that, you know. All these things being affected by more or less a famine, you know. And again, all these things are affected, you know. When you look at the stock market, you know, these businesses that are on the stock market, why are they taking losses? Oh, because people don't have this extra money to go and splurge on these type of things. Well, why is that? Well, because there's a so-called currency war dealing with, like, let's say your cost of living versus your wages. There's not a lot of jobs, you know, things like that. All these things is coming together for a famine. Then also with our fucked up ass weather, I ain't gonna say it's fucked up. It's actually beautiful weather. It's just these signs that the Most High showing He's about to destroy this place, you know. But with all these blizzards and hurricanes and fires that's going on all over the United States and stuff like that is making it harder for things and imports, exports, and things like that to move around. So it's causing all these things to go up, you know. So, you know, your cost of living is steadily going up, but your income is steadily going down, you know. And ironically, you know, I thought about this as well. This is kind of what got me into this here lesson was, you know, it was ironic that right around the time when taxes come out, you know, when people, us lower hand people, on, you know, that's looking for our tax returns, we get our taxes and we go and splurge, right? So the people on the lower end level are about to get an increase of money coming in from their income taxes. What more of a better time to increase, you know, you getting an increased amount of money, how much better of a time it is to take money from you while you're getting more money by, you know, making the stock market go down. You losing points in the stock market. So you're losing on one end, but it's offset by this here increase in your income tax on the other end, so you're not so as mad, you know. But what you're not understanding is that once that income tax check is gone, you still already lost out on your commodities over here, you know. And again, if you know about like quantitative easing, you know, this is how they got them in the housing bubble markets, you know. You got money at a super low, cheap value right now, you know. And then once they start raising the interest rate on the money, you won't be able to afford anything, you know. And so your money's going to lose value, especially with this money about to start coming back over this petro yuan and other currencies and stuff like that, you know. But nevertheless, we're going to jump into this next scripture. I got two more I'm going to pull, and we're going to go ahead and close it out. Where I want to grab. Oh, yeah. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 12. I'm going to start at verse 4. Oh, verse 3. Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, okay, who is the keepers of the house? Okay, the keepers of the house is Esau. When they starting to tremble, why are they trembling? Because they got these wars and things going on, and all these things going on, you know. And that's just on the surface level, because really these Edomites is controlling stuff. It's controlled opposition. They actually in control of what's going on, but you know, at the end of it all, it says, and these shall hate the whore, you know. Their allies are going to get tired of trying to swindle every damn body else and having to pick up the tab, you know, and it's going to wind up coming back to bite her in the ass. But for the most part, at the point in time, you know, Esau know what he's doing, you know. He's causing this to consolidate all his power and all his nations into one nation, you know. That's why he's collapsing and making everything look like it's going out of control, you know. But it says, in the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. And those that look out of the windows be darkened. And the door shall be shut in the street, and the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall raise up the voice of the bird, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. So we're going to go at this backwards. The daughters of music brought low. Well, okay, put that in this sense. You know, you got fast music, upbeat music, and you got low, calm, like R&B music, you know, more or less to say, you know, for this analogy. You know, that type of music is sad, sorrowful, lamentful. You know, you have R&B music, it's talking about, oh, your old lady that left you, or your homie died, or your mama died, something sad happened, you know. But you have upbeat music, clubbing and this and that party, and that's a good time, you know. But the music being brought low, why? Because people are sad and lamenting. Or why are they sad and lamenting? It says in verse 3 again, it says, and the grinders cease because they are few. The grinders being what? Okay, that's how you know, you have a mill in the grind, you know, you that's a tool in order to work with, you know. You smashing up, let's say, food or certain things like that to make it smaller, you know, into a powder form or whatever. That's more or less something to use to work with, you know. But in a larger scale, a big grinder, you know, is basically like, fuck it, we can just put it like this in Jake talk, you know. Shit. Like Jake talk, you know, when they say we grinding, you know, what do you mean when you grinding? You putting in work, or you working, you know, you getting your work on, you know. It says, and the doors of the street, I skipped one, verse 3, and the grinders cease because they are few, and they that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the street, okay, and what doors? The business doors. You see these businesses shutting down, and like Walmart no longer building Walmart stores, they're starting to shut down these Sam's Clubs to go to fulfillment, okay, like Amazon fulfillment. Yeah, it's a smarter idea for them to save them some more money, but they know in the long run, like, yo, we ain't gonna need these Walmart stores no more. People gonna be locked into their house all day. This is gonna be the new future, you know. So we transitioning, you know. It says, and the door shall be shut in the street, and the sound of the grinding is low. Again, yeah, the businesses are shutting down, and unemployment is kind of high, you know. And the doors shall be, verse 4 again, Ecclesiastes 12:4. And the door shall be shut in the street, and the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall raise up the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Basically, it's just talking about, you coming into a sad, lamented time in your civilization or your society. Things is all like you in mourning, more or less to say. It's not a good, joyful time. It's not like let's say America done won something like as a team and everybody's rejoicing over it and everything is all good. This is more or less like the time of right after September 11th, or something major didn't happen here, and fuck it, 2008, that was a time when the grinders started to cease and the music was brought low. Everybody was mad about a depression and recession and things like that, and people lost out on a lot. You still have people still lingering around in that spirit. Let me jump into this here last precept real quick and we'll close it out. This is Revelation chapter 6 verse 6. I'm gonna start at 5 actually. And we had opened Revelation 6 and 5, and we had opened the third seal. I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Yeah, now what do you do with a balance? In those days, this is how you weigh certain things out. You'd be like, all right, this for that. We got an even trade, more or less to say, or it's going to cost you X amount of dollars in weight of gold. So it's going to cost you, let's say, hypothetically, it's going to cost you 2 ounces of gold. You put the 2 ounces of gold on the scales, and they got their little counterweights to make sure it's the right price. Boom, you're good to go. But here it's talking about, again, you balancing things out in a scale, more or less to say. So now you have to make these tough decisions. So just like in today's time, you down to your last little $20. Now you got your things in a balance now. All right, how am I gonna weigh this $20 out? I can go put $2 in gas. I can go get me $2 worth of food. You know what I'm saying? And I can have the rest of the money for the rest of the week to get by, and we're gonna make it stretch that way. Now you got your resources and your money basically in a balance. You weighing shit out. You got to weigh the cost of certain things. Okay. Verse 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou not hurt the oil and the wine. Okay. And so basically here is what is going into is more or less like the measure, like the wheat and the barley is pretty much like what one person needs to survive for the day. That's your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, more or less to say. That type of deal. This is your fulfillment just to eat. This is just your daily food and your daily water. Like today they have certain charts showing, like, in certain countries, like when Puerto Rico had certain things going on over there, and they was limited on water and resources, or Venezuela, they like, look, each individual person or family get to have this amount of resources, X amount of eggs, X amount of bread. You can only use X amount of gallons of water per day. So this would be in the sense of talking about the wheat and the barley. So, but it says a measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny. Okay. And, this is talking about this penny deal is going into pretty much a day's wage. You're going to have to work all damn day just to get you basically living paycheck to paycheck, All your work go just to get back to work, You're just sustaining yourself just to survive, to make it back and forth to work, So these are the things that we're getting into and the times we're getting into now, You're starting to see people living with their parents at a lot older ages and people rooming with each other and stuff like that in hard times, These are these famines that's coming upon on America, They're not all coming all at once, one time, one after another. They're coming in small increments, because Esau know that he's about to liquidate the whole damn system, and if he was to do that real quick, there'd be a big uproar. People will go to their guns, and it'd be chaos, and then that's more work he had to do. But if he could slowly start taking all your resources away from you, make it harder for you to stand on your own, by cutting jobs here and there, now you have to start selling an extra amount of stuff, now you had to probably sell, speaking of Edomites, you had to sell your bigger house with all your land and your doomsday prep and stuff and your extra guns and your ammo just to feed your kids. And, that's just one less person they got to worry about fighting off. And in the end, you're going to lose all of that shit too, But again, nevertheless, it's like boiling that frog. Everything is coming in slow increments, But these are the things that we should be paying attention to in the times that we living in, These things that are prophesied to happen, and don't let it catch you off guard or nothing like that. Like, oh shit, because the things that was written aforetime was written for our learning, you know. And also, blessed is he that readeth, you know. We understand these things, and light is coming to the world, you know. This information, this knowledge is coming into the world, but, you know, you still have other people who want to, they love the darkness. Now, we're going to keep trying to get it here in America. We're going to keep trying to get it here in America, but then those are the sore, perplexed people at the very end of it all, you know. Famine is coming to this place. Famine, death, and destruction, you know. Lord willing that this be, you know, that final year, you know. But, you know, we got to be patient and wait on, you know, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah's time, you know. Because, well, really Yahweh's time, because, you know, this isn't a thing of ours, you know. We have to be patient, you know. So, you know, like I said, Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught me this truth and rule well. And salutations to you brothers pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth. Stay strong. Shalom.